Joining us now for our weekly partnership segment, we have Andrew Perez. He is a senior editor and reporter at the newly named Lever, the Lever News, which we are very excited about. Great to see you, Andrew.
Thanks for having me.
So first of all, we wanted to tell everybody it's not the Daily Poster anymore. It is the Lever, and you guys are expanding. You put together a little promo video for the brand change. Let's take a look at that. The entity formerly known as the Daily Poster is now rebranding to the Lever.
Right now, we're in the void where all facts are being questioned because there are very, very few trusted sources that the audience trusts doesn't have an ulterior motive and isn't skewing the facts. We are an independent media outlet.
David Sirota, the award-winning investigative journalist, nominated for an Oscar for Best Original Screenplay. Don't Look Up was nominated for 4 Academy Awards.
We're small in the ocean of a corporate media environment. The future of this, to rebuild that trust, requires reader and subscriber-supported news that doesn't have these problems and that is always focused on making sure the audience can see where the facts are coming from. When you read a story on our website, you will see all of the links to source material. You don't have to trust us. Go make sure that what you're being told is true. Corporate media doesn't seem to care about that.
Are we going with Lever or Lever?
The Lever.
The Lever.
The Lever.
So guys, subscribe at levernews.com. Other than despising hearing the sound of my own voice, that was great. Andrew, let's just start before we're going to get to some of your reporting on union busting, which is really important. But I think it's so critical that we underscore the importance of independent media if we're going to have a better democracy, if we're going to have people really understand what is going on and why it's happening. What was it that attracted you to this outlet and this work?
Sure. Well, so I had worked for several years before with David Sirota, and so I actually helped him start this new outlet when it was literally just like a Substack newsletter, didn't have a name, and it was right when David was leaving the Bernie campaign. He was just ready to get his thoughts out there, and he asked me to help edit it. And I was stoked because the truth is I've always loved working with David, and I knew like we have the same kind of thoughts on what coverage matters, what's not being covered. And, we had the same kind of ethos for our reporting, which is that we wanted to, both of us have always been devoted to covering and exposing corporate power and influence on policy. Yeah, well, you together have built a really vital and formidable outlet. And so I'm excited to see the rebrand. I'm excited to see the expansion. I think it's like a critical backbone of the alternative media ecosystem, which we have to have because they're like, obviously the cable news networks, as long as their incentives are what they are, and the legacy media outlets, as long as their incentives are what they are, they're not really going to change. So we have to build an alternative ecosystem to provide people with that information. So let's talk about some of the reporting. The latest report that you have here, let's go ahead and put it up on the screen, guys, is about a Verizon union effort and the predictable union busting that is occurring there. You say, Verizon sends in the union busters. Verizon workers seeking to unionize in Washington state say the company just brought in executives to intimidate them. So just break down the story for us. Sure. So workers at 2 Verizon retail stores in the Seattle area in Everett and Linwood, started organizing and then recently asked Verizon to voluntarily recognize their union. And, organizers said that Verizon immediately flew in a series of executives and labor relations managers to their stores, starting the very next day, like after they requested recognition, to try to dissuade these workers from unionizing. And they said they've been sending execs into other stores too, and training in the area and training store managers to tell workers about how unionizing would be bad for them. And the other thing here that happened is, as this was all happening, a private Reddit page for Verizon employees, a longstanding page, announced that it was banning any discussion of unions. And these organizers thought that this was like a direct reflection of their organizing efforts, and that the company was cracking down. And the new news here is that actually, so on Friday, which now is, so on Friday they'll be the workers will be receiving their mail-in ballots, actually. So they said that Verizon's been, applying pretty intense pressure so far, but that's all going to stop really soon.
Wait, so what did you make of the Reddit piece of that? Because I thought that was interesting as well. So it's a private Reddit thread. It's not run by like Verizon corporate. And yet they're saying, hey, you can't talk about union efforts here at all. And their justification is, listen, we're worried about people keeping their jobs. We don't want them to face retaliation. But what did you think was going on with that detail?
Yeah, well, so it's a private page for Verizon employees. It's moderated by Verizon employees, but not, I guess, in their official capacity. You do have to be like a Verizon employee to actually join the subreddit. I think they require a copy of your like badge. So it is for Verizon employees. And as one of the workers told us, if you're worried about getting unfairly targeted by management and fired for what you're sending online, you know what you need, right? A union. And I think that is right. So I think, there's maybe two elements to it where the moderators, may have kind of a point about, the company can target you based on online interactions. But I think it was also perceived as this is sort of an effort by, employees who are, supportive of Verizon to cut out any conversation of unions.
Can't have any agitation. So it's both a reflection of potential sort of people who are sympathizers for the Verizon corporate position and also also an indication of a genuine climate of fear where people don't want to be fired just for what should be protected union organizing activity. Another point you make here that I think is really important, and I'm reading from the piece now, it says, Verizon is a big federal contractor. Since Biden took office, the company has received $133 million in federal contract payments. The company also benefits from expansive government subsidies. And you have the Biden administration promising they would, quote, use long-standing authority to leverage the federal government's purchasing and spending power to support workers who are organizing and pro-worker employees. One way to do that, they said, the administration, is to ensure that federal contract dollars are not spent on anti-union campaigns and that the anti-union campaign activities by federal contractors are publicly disclosed. So is there any prayer that the Biden administration is going to actually live up to what they're saying there and make sure that federal dollars are not being used to support a company that is clearly engaged in union busting activity?
Yeah. So that was part of a task force recommendation, and I think the task force was led by the Labor Secretary Marty Walsh and Vice President Harris, and so that was sort of a recommendation within it. They have not taken any kind of official action yet there, but it is really an important part of this conversation, which is that yes, Biden has pledged to. He also pledged to ensure that federal contractors only go to employers who sign neutrality agreements, committing not to run anti-union campaigns. And so, there are things that they can do within their authority. More broadly speaking, Democrats could pass the PRO Act, right, which would really make it a lot easier for workers to unionize. But that, has obviously there's going to be trouble getting that through Congress right now unless Democrats decide to eliminate the filibuster, which obviously, a few of them are so reluctant to do. So this is something that where Biden could act and make things easier for workers just with executive authority.
I think that is an incredibly important point because all the time we hear they're doing what they can. What do you say? You got the filibuster, you got the parliamentary, you got Joe Manchin, Kyrsten Sinema. What can you do? He's doing everything possible. But you're saying, and you're pointing out, very specific things that the Biden administration and Joe Biden promised to be the most pro-union president in history could do to make it easier for workers to organize that they just have decided not to do. That is completely and 100% in their control. Andrew, thank you so much for joining us and breaking this all down for us. Guys, go and subscribe to The Lever. It's thelevernews.com and support the incredible work that they are doing. Really grateful for your time today.
Thank you.
My pleasure. And thank you guys for watching. We'll have more for you later.
Hey guys, we're going to be totally upfront with you. This is the most perilous time that we have ever operated in.
It is so difficult just to try to sort through the news, but even more importantly, to bring you accurate information as this wave of lockdown and censorship spreads across the nation.
Yeah, look, if you can become a premium subscriber today at breakingpoints.com, you're going to help us build out a vibrant, independent media ecosystem which is free of mainstream pressure. We can't tell you how important that is at a time like this.
Yep, that's right. Go to breakingpoints.com to subscribe. We love you guys and we appreciate you so much.